Stand back and watch me. I'm getting ready to unfold. Decided to let my spirit go free, ready to become the woman I was meant to be. I've been awakened and finally see the light. I'm about to make some changes and set a few things right. With this new attitude and knowledge I possess, I'll create a whole new world order and clean up all this mess. Stand back and watch me. I'm getting ready to unfold. That's an excerpt from Mona Lake Jones' Ready to Unfold. Don't you wish you had that kind of spirit every day? I know I do. Good afternoon and welcome to the Women's Fund of Winston-Salem's 12th Annual Luncheon. I'm Wanda Stark, 6 p.m. anchor and producer of special projects at WXII 12 News, and I'm delighted to once again be your MC for this fabulous affair. It is impossible to come here and not be encouraged and empowered. It may be dreary outside, but in this space, nothing but rays of hope. I am also proud to be one of the over 700 members of the Women's Fund of Winston-Salem. We're pleased that so many of you could join us today, fund members, supporters, elected officials, and other special guests. I hope that you will all be inspired by something that you see or hear today, inspired by the work of this diverse, passionate group of women who are working to make a real difference in our community. Our theme for today's event is working together as one. We encourage you to take photos for Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever is out there. There's so much out there now. And please use the hashtags Women of WS. I would also like to take this time to thank our generous luncheon sponsors you will find listed in your program. Special thanks going out to our returning presenting sponsor, Wake Forest Baptist Health. Our platinum leadership sponsors, the Winston-Salem Foundation, Forsyth Magazines, the Winston-Salem Journal and Winston-Salem Monthly Magazine, and our gold partner sponsors, Flo Honda, Reynolds American, K-Pasa Media Network, and Fairway Outdoor Advertising. Now, I would like to introduce Dr. Julie Ann Freischlag. She will bring us greetings from Wake Forest Baptist Health, and following Dr. Freischlag, LaMaya Williams will give a brief update from the Women's Fund, followed by the invocation from the Reverend Margaret Lineback, and after that, we encourage you to simply enjoy your lunch in the company of those around you. Our program will resume at 12:30. Now, let's welcome Dr. Julie Ann Freischlag. Freischlag. I practiced it over and over and over again.
That was perfect. I actually told her I answered to most anything. When I was a child in school, we got called all sorts of things, as you can imagine. Fried frog was probably my favorite as a young person. That's where I got resilience and strength. So thank you so much. I'm new to the community. I've been here about 6 months. I went to one of your events as a guest of Alison Brashear, and I am amazed, just amazed, at the numbers here today, as well as the dimension and the diversity and all the energy from all of you. It's an incredible group. I am fortunate to meet many women and go to many events like this. Your purpose is unique. You're so spiritual about it. You really want to make a difference in those behind you, and reaching back and trying to let other women do amazing things is the special sauce we all need to develop. As we went through whatever career you're in or whatever spot you're in, many of us struggled, and sometimes you thought that was you were the only one struggling, and sometimes we didn't remember to look back. I had an assistant that worked with me at Johns Hopkins for a few years, and every day she sends me a quote for the day. I just love that from Peggy. And I always pull it up, because when I do these things, I go, well, I just have to wait for Peggy to give me a quote for the day. And she did, and somehow they always fit. So the quote for the day from Peggy is, grow through what you go through. So grow through what you grow through. So many of you can remember what you've had to grow through. You can think of either your education, your childhood. I'm a vascular surgeon, and I can tell you many, many, many stories about the 80s training as a surgeon, as I'm the only sixth certified vascular surgeon in the United States that was a woman. And I didn't quite notice. I wanted to be a vascular surgeon, so I just kept going till you saw the statistics and you saw you were the sixth one to do that. Now, there's probably 300 or 400 women vascular surgeons in the country, and I have one with me today. Shipra Arya is sitting at my table. She's a vascular surgeon at Emory. We have a mentorship program through our Society for Vascular Surgery where they get to follow a leader and go forth and do things. And I met her when she was a fellow, and also my father has had vascular disease and was in and out of their hospital at Emory, and unfortunately died this year of vascular complications. And Shipra took great care of him and of me, and she's one of many people now coming behind me to be vascular surgeons. And I couldn't be more proud that she's here with me today, and she had no idea I was going to call her out, but of course I'm going to call her out. So Shipra, could you stand up and wave to everyone? And if I were to tell you, that's what you call sponsorship, okay? So you wonder, what is sponsorship versus mentorship? Mentorship's wonderful. Mentorship is you tell everyone that they're really great, you're emotionally ready for them, you listen to all their complaints, you make that all happen. But sponsorship is when you actually go do something that makes a difference. You let them shadow you, and she actually was at our board meeting all day yesterday, which was quite entertaining of sorts. She went to one of our symposiums where we had research presented. She presented today in their vascular group, and actually she was proactive. She said, when I come, can I present some of my research? And of course we said yes, she could do that. And sponsoring her as she moves on now, she has a leadership position at Stanford where she's going to be chief of vascular surgery at the VA hospital there, and we couldn't be more proud that that's where she's off to. So the last quote I'll show you today, and again, this is from another person who means a lot to me. She was my speechwriter at my previous job at UC Davis. She was incredibly creative and made me think bigger thoughts than I thought. And she is actually taking a course at Hopkins right now in the history of medicine, learning all about where we came from and what we did. And just yesterday, I have the best friends, don't I? They send me all sorts of wonderful things. And as she was doing her reading for her new life as history of medicine, this was written by a cardiologist, Paul Dudley White, about Richard Cabot. In every generation, there are restless souls who cannot be made to fit the common mold. A few of these are valuable in keeping their communities and professions in a ferment by their constant challenge to the existing order of man's or woman's thought and action. But when, in addition to possessing these attributes, a rare individual is endowed with the divine fire and makes important contributions to the pioneering progress of humanity, then indeed we recognize a great leader. In the thick of the fray, such recognition comes slowly, but as the smoke of the battle clears, the acclaim is universal. So that's from 1939. It probably was a really good year. So I want to tell you that I think this group that I'm standing before today is exactly that group. You don't fit the common mold. You all can tell stories of how difficult that sometimes was. You do have that ferment for constant challenge. You do want action. You do have that fire in your belly is what surgeons call that, to do it, and you want to progress humanity. And therefore, in your fray, there'll be days that you need the smoke to clear, because it'll be on fire, and you won't be appreciated. And if anything, you might be condemned, or people will say you're a bit odd. They did that with me a lot. She's a bit odd. My mother, I remember when I decided to be a surgeon, she goes, "What's wrong with being a pediatrician?" She goes, "I just don't get you." And my dad, when I became a dean, he said, "What exactly does a dean do?" And some people think a dean is just one letter away from dead. But when the smoke clears, acclaim is universal. And I give universal acclaim to all of you, and thank you for letting me join you today. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Fleischlag, for your words. My daughter, who is here with me today, I want you to know that if you choose to be a vascular surgeon, I'm totally fine with that. Put all those late nights of watching Grey's Anatomy on Netflix to use. Okay. Good afternoon. On behalf of the members of the Women's Fund Board of Directors, I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to spend time with us this afternoon. For the past 12 years, the Women's Fund of Winston-Salem has strived to improve the lives of women and girls in our community. It is because of your generous support that the Women's Fund has been able to award more than $1.4 million since 2007 to local programs supporting women and girls right here in Forsyth County. Our luncheon theme this year is Working Together as One. We feel that this theme demonstrates our belief in the power of collaboration to achieve the greater good. The Board of the Women's Fund is deeply committed to finding ways to move the needle on issues impacting women and girls. Our goal is to continue to seek partnerships in our community to work alongside those who also strive to secure the economic well-being of women and girls. Our members are the driving force behind the success of the Women's Fund, and I want to thank each of you for your commitment to our vision. I'd like to take a moment to recognize our Women's Fund Board of Directors. Our board consists of members of the fund, many who also serve as committee chairs, who help support the day-to-day operations for the fund, along with staff from the Winston-Salem Foundation. Would board members please stand? Thank you all. I would especially like to recognize and thank our board members who are rotating off the board at the end of this year. Please stand as I call your name. Allison Ash Card. Amy Leander. Oh, she's in the back. And Margaret Lineback. Thank you for your board service and your commitment to the Women's Fund. On behalf of the board of directors, I would like to also extend a warm welcome to our new board members. Please stand as I call your name. Claudia Kennedy. And Emily Averill, who is not here with us today. Yes, clap for her, even though she's not here in absentia. I also want to thank all of those who made this luncheon possible, including our sponsors. A special thank you again to Amy Leander and the Extraordinary Events Committee, and Gwen Clements and the Women's Fund Grants Committee, and the Grants Review Team. We are also very grateful to the Winston-Salem Foundation for their support and direct assistance of the Women's Fund. And a special thank you to Wanda Stark for not only being a member of the fund, but for serving again as MC this year. Yeah. It is our hope that you will find our time together today informative and motivating, discovering the many ways that you can empower yourself and those around you to take action for women and girls in Forsyth County. At this time, I'd like to invite Margaret Lineback, Women's Fund board member, to lead us in the invocation. Thank you.
Let's pause in silence for a moment and center our attention on this meal that we're going to share together. Gracious and loving Creator of all that is life-giving, we give thanks for this gathering to make our community a more life-flourishing and economically secure place for women and children to fully unfold all their God-given potential. We give thanks for all in our community who persist in positively addressing the root causes of poverty, addiction, domestic violence, and lack of employment opportunities in our community. Inspire us today to fiercely persist in working towards the goals of the Women's Fund by building economic security for women and girls in Forsyth County, empowering them to be independent, self-sufficient, and contributing members of our community. For together as one, we can bring about positive change in the lives of countless women and girls in this place we call home. Amen.
Good afternoon. We ask that you please continue your meals as we continue with our program. Each year, the Women's Fund comes together to award grants that our members voted to fund. This year, through collective giving of our members, the Women's Fund accumulated that's not enough, right? $144,000 to award towards the 217 grant cycle. We know, yes, that deserves applause. We know that you are eager to hear who our winners are, and we will reveal the 2017 grantees later in our program. Our collective giving model fits nicely with this year's theme, working together as one. Women of the fund come together to debate and discuss and ultimately decide on funds that will help organizations in our community change the lives of local women and girls. If you've seen the most recent issue of Forsyth Women's Magazine, you have noticed that there is an article about the Women's Fund working together as one, written by fund member Shamika Stark. As Shamika states so powerfully in her article, by working together as one, the Women's Fund believes that over time, our collective and intentional investments will result in a systematic change for all women. We envision women and girls of all backgrounds who are empowered and equipped to be leaders, strengthening our community as a whole. When we honor the connectedness in our community and compassion, a more wondrous reality arises. Our ability to impact positive change becomes amplified. As a fund, we have accomplished so much over the years, yet we know the power of our collective strength will allow us to accomplish so much more. There is so much work for us to do, and we have made our greatest strides together as one. Now, Sabrina knows I always have to go a little bit off script. And I would be remiss if I didn't take this opportunity to say it has been both an honor and a privilege to serve as the chair of the Women's Fund Board for the last 3 years, and I want to thank you for this opportunity. And now I would like to ask Judge Denise Hartsfield to come to the stage to introduce our keynote speaker.
Good afternoon. What does the face of justice look like? Would you know it if you saw it? Or would you recognize it if it didn't resemble your own notions of fair play and justice? Does it look like a hometown girl who graduated from Carver High School? Can anything good come out of Carver? Well, Carol Montague Davis, the principal, and a few more know that it can. Does it look young and energetic with bright colors and a brighter smile, or is your idea of justice gray with pensive eyes and furrowed brow, wearing navy or black? Does the face of justice attend Wake Forest majoring in sociology while organizing campus forums for wrongfully convicted people, for gender discrimination, for poverty, and for injustice? Does the face of justice translate her grassroots skill and outspoken street advocacy into graduating magna cum laude from the North Carolina Central University School of Law? Does the face of justice dare to escape traditional norms and protocol and hang her own shingle to provide advocacy to the post-convicted, the criminal defenseless, or the juveniles who are at their worst? How does the face of justice look on the face of one who has seen and offered, endured injustice herself? From serious and symmetric spoken word and authoring action in her youth to reciting the oath to speak as a lawyer, this time speaking for those who often have no voice, speaking for those who cannot speak for themselves, and a heart that knows that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Glory, the movie, had a song that was real popular. It said, "Somewhere in the dream we had an epiphany. Now we right the wrongs in history. No one can win the war individually. It takes the wisdom of the elders and young people's energy. Welcome to the story we call victory." This evening, welcome to the story of a hometown girl that I am pleased to call Attorney Nicole Little, and we need to hear her story. So Attorney Little, this is not my bench, but I'm giving you permission to take the bench and address the court.
Well, I think Judge Hartsfield gave the message right there. Such a hard act to follow, but no, seriously, thank you, Judge Hartsfield, for that beautiful introduction. I've been lucky and fortunate enough to have Judge Hartsfield play a pivotal role in my rites of passage moments this year, today, and also my swearing-in ceremony almost a month ago here now. So thank you again for always being willing to pave the way for little old me to come along. Next, I would like to thank the Women's Fund, its staff, members, and board of directors for the work that they've done here in Winston-Salem, investing in women and girls of Forsyth County, and the impact that I know you all will continue to make in this place that I call home. Special shout out to Director Sabrina Slade for inviting me to speak today. Ms. Slade, I met you right before I went to law school, and from that moment forward, you've been nothing but a gem in my life. You recognize the value of my story, and to be recognized and highly regarded by somebody in your position is a blessing, and is one that I don't take lightly. Thank you. I would like to take a moment just to say how I came in contact with the Women's Fund. There are certain people here in the audience today that I credit that to. I credit a lot to, but Ms. Lynn Rose and Nathan Ross Freeman with Author in Action. Many people think that I'm being facetious when I say that Author in Action saved my life, but I'm not. But for my involvement in Author in Action, I would have never come in contact with the Women's Fund or learned about the great work that you do here in Winston. More importantly, the young lady that you see standing before you today as an attorney and entrepreneur may not have ever come to exist. It was through Author in Action that I found my voice, my identity, and my niche in society. I began to see the world a lot differently. No longer did I equate my humble beginnings as an obstacle, but rather a challenge that I was willing to overcome and conquer. I began to see the power in people, no matter your socioeconomic status, your race, ethnicity, or gender. Despite their circumstances, I recognize that transformation is possible when people are given the right tools. This brings me to today's theme, working together as one. I'm honored to stand before this particular sea of faces, of women and advocates, our male advocates that are here today as well. Advocates for equality and leaders in your own right. Women who have managed to climb the ladders of success in their various industries, may it be banking, law, the medical field, graphic design, and the like. We have fought tooth and nail to accomplish our own professional goals while overcoming our own personal challenges in life. Now, what's next? As we continue to make strides individually, how do we engage in a shared commitment to build economic security for young women and girls here in Forsyth County? Well, I want to take a moment to reflect on that and speak on how we can, or how we must, engage in movement building to reach back and pull the next generation of women forward. I take pride in being transparent. Sabrina knows this about me. So I use my own life as an example. Had I left my life up to the world, I would not be here. Had I left my life up to the world, I would not be here. What do I mean by that? Who in here has taken statistics in school? Whether you hate it or love it. Statistically, I am not supposed to be here today. See, I grew up right down the road on Trade Street in Kimberly Park Apartments, is now known as Astor Park. We affectionately refer to it as Boston Projects. My household was headed by a single mother of 5 children. My mother was a hard worker. She worked for everything that she got and everything that she earned. Whether that job was in a fast food restaurant or working in a kitchen, she worked for it. Up and until she got a position at the Bethesda Center for the Homeless, where she's an office manager, and she's proud of it. She didn't receive that job until she was over the age of 50. So on my mother's income, you can imagine that we lived in what the world would refer to as poverty. We grew up in public housing. When I was 10, I lost my brother to gun violence. He was only 18 years old. Every time I think about it, I feel like a walking checklist. At 5 years old, I became a victim of sexual abuse. So I felt and learned what that world felt like. And despite being a stellar student academically, I still found myself expelled from school in the 8th grade, marched into alternative school in the 8th grade, and the juvenile detention center shortly thereafter. You wouldn't think that the girl standing before you had been in juvenile detention, but I have, and I own up to that. After being given another chance at education, I went to the Carver High School and graduated in 2009. But during my senior year of high school, me and my brothers and my mom all became homeless. We lost our apartment. We didn't have a home to call our own. So I had to matriculate through my senior year of high school, not knowing where I was going to lay my head at every night. So my drive to go to college wasn't necessarily because I was destined to want to become more or ambition to get an education, but rather a desire to have a place to call home. I was just blessed that home ended up being Wake Forest University. And I was fortunate enough that despite all these obstacles, and despite the paper trail that followed me, somebody saw fit to allow me to go to law school. As Langston Hughes famously said, life for me ain't been no crystal stair. I don't want you to take this the wrong way. I don't share this part of my life with you to seek pity. To be frank, I don't feel sorry for myself because I know the fire that I went through built me into the woman that I am today. However, I share this with you to illustrate the struggle that young women and even men and children right here in Winston-Salem face every day, and to pose as a solution to that problem, a solution that we all can play a role in achieving. I like to kind of tell stories sometimes to illustrate a point. I remember when I was at Wake, I was sitting in the pit. We have Wake grads in here, you know what the pit is. And I had a friend who was talking to another classmate of mine, and they were, for some reason, debating about high schools here in Winston. I wasn't part of the conversation, but I could hear it. And they were debating about which high schools were better. And it was a debate between, of course, Carver High School and Mount Tabor High School. And I love Mount Tabor, by the way. Love them. I have a lot of friends that went to Mount Tabor. But they were having a debate, and it was somebody who wasn't from Winston-Salem, had no idea, wasn't grown here, just came to Winston for Wake. But they had so many opinions about what comes out, the products that come out of Carver High School. And I had to step in. I went to Carver High School. I took these classes. I had teachers there who really wanted to see me excel, and but for them being involved in my life, I wouldn't be here. But that wasn't enough. The conversation was so callous and nonchalant, and she quickly dismissed my story and called me an anomaly. I will be honest that I didn't know what an anomaly was. But immediately after that conversation, I went to my room and I looked up the definition of an anomaly. And according to Webster, an anomaly was a deviation from the standard, what is normal or to be expected. And I got disgusted. I was offended. Why would I or anyone else accept being an anomaly? Why should I accept that out of one of four every woman, somebody has been sexually abused? Why should I accept that while knowing that home ownership is important for economic security, knowing that it's important for progressive movement here in our society, African American home ownership in Winston-Salem is at 33%. Rental rates double that. Why should I accept that only 27% of Black third graders in Winston-Salem read at a third grade level? Why should we accept these isms as being okay and the norm and continue to talk about them as if that's just the way it is? I truly believe that my success is not because I'm different in any way. My success is the product of grace, humility, and second chances. I was lucky enough to come across complete strangers like Sabrina, Judge Hartsfield, Daryl Hunt, Lynn Rose, Nathan Ross Freeman, who believed in me even when I didn't believe in myself, who didn't give up on me when I was too tired to fight. Sabrina, you recognize that despite my circumstances, my life mattered too. And in all sincerity, I was just lucky enough not to be the sum of my worst mistakes. Think about the most embarrassing thing that you've done in your life. The deepest, darkest secret that you have and you haven't told anybody because of the shame that you feel it would bring to you if anybody were to know. Imagine that moment, that memory. Now imagine if you were judged every day of your life based on that one mistake. Can you imagine that? How unfair that would feel? No, how unjust that would be. No one is the sum of their worst mistakes. This is where grace comes into play. So how do we begin to work together as one? Start by not dismissing my story as the exception, but use it as an example. Give the next young woman or man the opportunity to find themselves in a world that constantly shows them that they're not supposed to be here. Give them the opportunity of a lifetime, an opportunity that would change their life and their family life forever. Check your power. What can you do? What can you offer? And go out and give it to somebody. Next, take your philanthropy and justice work to the next level. While strategizing and making decisions, revisit that dark secret that nobody knows. And remember that element of grace and empathy that sunk into your mind. And incorporate that into your boardrooms, your classrooms, even at your family dinner table. Let's put a stop to the misguided belief systems that grace has to be delegated to a woman only,
or that grace, empathy, diversity, and inclusion rest solely on the shoulders of people of color when they are on your boards, in your classroom, and in your workplace. Working together as one means sharing the commitment to ensure that all voices, people, and their perspectives are represented at a table even when they're not physically there. I am thankful for the Women's Fund for investing in organizations doing justice work like Author in Action. Little do they know that they were investing in a little lost girl, brown girl, from Boston Projects. My life has been saved by your grace and philanthropy, but I challenge you to continue to dig deeper, to go further, and to save 1 million other little girls just like me. The impact that we can make as soon as we incorporate those ideas. Thank you.
Nicole, thank you for sharing that beautiful and inspiring story. I think everyone in the room feels like they just want to embrace you. And I wish every little girl in Winston-Salem could hear your story. Thank you for sharing it and for challenging us to do more. Well, now we have come to a special part of our program. Each year, the Women's Fund seeks to support organizations implementing programs that address the challenges that women face in achieving economic security so that all women and girls have equal opportunities and the skills and the resources in our community. The Women's Fund's unique membership model includes a diverse group of over 700 women and girls who come together and pool their financial resources to make grants to improve the lives of women and girls in our community. In addition to providing funding, members participate in the grant-making process by voting on the organizations and programs that will receive funding. Well, this is an unprecedented year for the Women's Fund to send a very clear message about the fund's intent to address systemic issues such as concentrated poverty. The Women's Fund's Board of Directors voted on October 18th to fund every grant proposal on this year's slate. The Board of Directors utilized existing funds from its grant-making pool to award roughly $157,000 to agencies today. This year, 12 grantees will receive funding from the Women's Fund of Winston-Salem. And now, I am honored to announce this year's grant recipients. As I announce each organization, would a representative please come to the stage to accept your award from Gwen and Sabrina. First up, Be Geek Incorporated. Be Geek is awarded $15,000 for Girl Code, a female-only program focused on increasing the digital literacy of female students, providing them the opportunity to thrive in the innovative support and technology markets. The program is the first organization to extend a digital literacy program to any of the 17 public high schools and 15 middle schools in the Winston-Salem-Forsyth County school system. Center for Smart Financial Choices. Center for Smart Financial Choices is awarded $10,000 to present Operation Money Talks, a program that engages female high school students in a quest for knowledge about future careers while increasing financial literacy. Participants will develop an awareness of the gender gap and its effect on their future while increasing confidence in their own abilities, particularly in the areas of money management and personal finance. The Children's Home Society of North Carolina. The Children's Home Society is awarded $15,000 for Wise Guys, a nationally recognized evidence-based program that reduces teen pregnancy by changing the attitudes and behaviors of adolescent males between the ages of 12 and 17 toward their female counterparts. As the other half of the teen pregnancy issue, the Wise Guys program utilizes a multi-session prevention approach with small groups of males. Crosby Scholars. Crosby Scholars is awarded $15,000 to present the She Project, a program designed to use a holistic approach to address root causes of poverty. This project will guide African American and Latina girls in areas of concentrated poverty living in Forsyth County to pursue careers in science, technology, engineering, and math. Experiment in Self-Reliance. Experiment in Self-Reliance is awarded $15,000 for the IDA program. The IDA program is a tool to develop assets among the working low income and to ensure they become financially stable and enable them to participate in the economic mainstream. The desired outcome sought for clients is that they become homeowners with a solid foundation of economic literacy skills to help them retain and maintain their new homes. Honorable Youth Incorporated. Honorable Youth is awarded $15,000 for 2 Generations, a program designed to meet the needs of women and girls who have the desire to obtain a higher education and start a new business, as well as those who are struggling with financial stability and home ownership. The program will provide a home ownership class, an entrepreneurship class, money management course, and information for women who wish to pursue higher educational courses. Horizons Residential Care Center. Horizons is awarded $4,431 for Spring Forward, a program that will provide low-wage female workers at Horizons with the opportunity to move into leadership and career growth positions within the organization. Spring Forward offers an 8-week program to 18 female direct service professionals at Horizons Residential Care Center. Lead Girls of NC. LEAD is awarded $14,700 for the continuation of funding to recruit, educate, and support preteen and early teen girls, equipping them to navigate their teen years and avoid risky behaviors such as poor academic performance, substance abuse, sexual promiscuity, and teen pregnancy. LEAD will work with Wiley Middle School, Philo Hill Magnet School Academy, and Mineral Springs. North Carolina Justice Center. North Carolina Justice Center is awarded $15,000 to advance financial stability through advancing wages and the EITC, Earned Income Tax Credit. The program's twofold approach engages key stakeholders in conversations about advancing the living wage and the EITC through discussions around systems and policy change, and by providing support to advance local groundwork on a program to certify local businesses that voluntarily pay their workers a living wage. Reed WS. Reed is awarded $7,730 to the Mommy and Me Reading Readiness Program. The Mommy and Me Reading Readiness Program will focus on pre-K girls in the Southeast Ward of Winston-Salem. That's Easton, Hall Woodward, and Forest Park Elementary Schools. The program is designed to address the skills set forth in the Kindergarten Benchmark Assessment and the English Language Arts Standards for Kindergarten. Smart Start for Forsyth County. Smart Start is awarded $15,000 for the Educator Scholarship Program to provide educator scholarships to 10 women who are qualified child care providers and directors enrolled in early childhood education programs to raise their educational levels. Scholarships will pay for tuition and books for each student attending an accredited post-secondary institution. And our last recipient, Youth Achieving Moral Maturity, YAM. YAM is awarded $15,000 to implement Bella Diamonds, a program designed to mentor African American and Latina girls ages 12 to 18 who reside in Ladera Crest Estates in Winston-Salem. Workshops offered will teach girls how to build assets to meet short-term and long-term needs, as well as manage and save for the future. Let's give a big hand to all of our recipients. Congratulations and thanks for all that you do. I would like to thank all of you for taking time out of your busy schedule to spend this afternoon with us. I hope that many of you will join me as a member of the Women's Fund by reviewing the membership information on the Women's Fund table as you leave. Also, you need to know that the flower pieces, the centerpieces are for sale for $10 each. Aren't they lovely? The sale of the centerpieces will help the Women's Fund continue to keep costs low and to provide more dollars for our community. We also want to ask you to continue to financially support the Women's Fund at the level that is most comfortable for you. There are donation envelopes as you exit to collect, there are donation envelopes on each table is what I should say, and volunteers are stationed as you exit to collect the envelopes and payments for the flower arrangements. These lunches are always so inspiring to me, and I hope that you will carry forward some of the messages that have been spoken today and carry the spirit of this luncheon with you throughout the day and throughout the year. Thank you so much for coming, and as always, we appreciate your company. Have a great afternoon.